Last episode we built this nice castle for our moss farm, and we've got plenty of bone meal and moss from this. But now I want to go and build another pointless building. Well, this one will actually have a bit of a purpose, as unlike all of the other buildings in this city which were built, I want this one to have an interior. And as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be making an inn. And I think I want to make it around here. But over here is a really nice space for an entrance to the city. So later on, which is probably going to be in the next episode, I'm going to make a gatehouse or entrance. As that means that to stay inside the city, I want to use the space here. And to do that, we'll need to fill it in. So let's get our dirt out and start placing. And there we go. We now have a nice big area to build on. And I think I'm going to use the area around here, maybe clear out a bit of this land. Just a tiny bit. Let's go get some block to mark out the size of this build. So I think to start with, we could have like a corner bit in here where the entranceway is. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we want the corner here. So let's do something like that. And then we will of course have our corner pillar around there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that is pretty good. So let's do a shape kind of like that maybe. So let's move it a bit back because we're now intersecting with this building. And I will have to remove a bit of this terrain. Though it could be nice having it step up slightly. So I don't want to remove too much as I want the village to step up slightly from now on. Here is where I'm going to leave it, so let's quickly do a corner here. Now we can move some more up to this point. And there we go, we can now get a sense of scale. And this is actually a pretty big build. And that's because I'm going to use it to store all my villagers. As for now, we just have a little hole in the ground for our villagers, which isn't really the best place to store them. So I want to improve it by building them an inn to stay in. I've now got a load of blocks, so the block palette is going to be oak logs, as I don't have many spruce logs, andesite, stone, gravel, stone bricks, and cobblestone. And I think this will make quite a nice block palette. And this is only going to be for the bottom layer though, so we'll have a different block palette for the top. And I think we can start by putting in the corners. I think I'm just going to raise up by 4. With this last pillar, we can now go on to connecting these with a little row of logs. And there we go, we've now got some wall patterns in all of these little hollows. But this is looking quite square and undetailed, so I want to add in some spruce stairs in these bits. Just like this. And that just adds a tiny bit of detail to it. I may even come in with trapdoors if I have enough spruce wood at the end. With those then, to finish it off, I'm just going to add in some oak trapdoors on the connections here to add a tiny bit more detail. I'm also leaving this spot for a chimney, so for now we won't build that. We will do that later. I'm now going to come on the inside and start to mark out the buildings that we can put in, as I'm not going to have it as one big roof. So I want to split it up into different parts of the roof. And I think doing this would be a good way. So let's do a similar pattern to the other walls, but this time on the inside. We won't be filling it in for now. For the second layer, I'm going to start with this sort of square here. Now to do that, I'm going to bring this up something like maybe 6 blocks. Let's try that. Yeah, I think 6 blocks is a good amount. We now have this nice shape here, and to do the walls I want to use some dark oak wood, some mangrove logs and some more dark oak, except of course we're going to strip all of these. and then this will make a really nice combination. There we go, the wall's now in, and it makes this nice kind of Tudor style build. And now we need to move on to the other side, where it's currently empty of walls. And for this one I want to use a different block palette, and that's going to be a similar block palette to our moss farm over here, as I really like the palette here and I think it works very well. So I want to use it again. And it's definitely not because I made too much concrete. So let's get started here. And for the concrete, if there's something like this, then I'm just going to use a bit of a temporary block. All of the patterns are now in, so let's just add in our signature stairs. And I might also add in some like this for these ones, just to make it slightly different from the rest of the build. There we go, that's looking pretty good I think. I now want to try and get the chimney in, so let's start at the bottom and start building our way up to the top. At the top here I'm just going to add a little chimney and then the wall on top to finish it. There we go, now let's quickly remove all these temporary blocks. And there we go, nice chimney in there. So let's get on to the roof, and to start with I'm going to do this tiny building here. And for this I'm just going to use a sloping slab roof I think. And now let's just fill it with some cold deep slate. That roof is now in, and now I want to move on to this roof. And for this I'm just going to do a simple roof using some of this dark oak wood. And there we go, we have a nice simple roof in here. Not the best looking, but I think once it goes in with the rest of the build, it'll look alright. That's a bit of nice shape variation in here. It's now time to do this roof, so I think we just do something very simple. And I've liked doing something like this where we just strip the logs and then go up in a one high pattern like this, almost done, and there we go, something like that. And then we can also add in a window right in the center there. And now we can start adding our first proper roof on here. And there we go, the roof is now on, and I think it should look okay. And yeah, I think it looks okay. But I do want to put a trapdoor on that log there quickly. I've made a little sample of this roof. Well, not that little, the roof is actually pretty large. But I made a tiny sample there, and it's tiny because, well, we've still got this entire side to do. So let's go on to that. But before we do, I'd like to remind you to subscribe, as by the end of the month I'm going to try and reach 100 subscribers, so if you could help out, That'd be really nice. Anyway, let's get back into the video. But before we do that, I want to make a really quick little wagon here. Just add a tiny bit of life to this world. And there we go, we've got a nice little cart now. And you'll see I've put some fence gates here, and that's because I want to put my donkey on the front of it. So let's just bring our donkey over here. Then we can quickly dismount and put it on one of these. There we go. Let's also name the donkey, and we're going to call it Shrek. That was the best comment from last episode. So it's now called Shrek the Donkey, and he's pulling this cart for us down the road. And I did also add a few stones as just some details behind it. And I think it turned out pretty well. I'm going to do quite a few more of these probably in the next episode though, as the next episode is probably going to be improving this village with things like that. So let's get back to the inn though. And there we go, the roof is now completely in, and it is a bit of a weird one with this double roof line, but I think it kind of works out. And now it's time to add in some windows, so I've got a load of blocks here that we could use. So let's just start adding them in every now and again. I think I want one here. We now have a nice little window in there, and next I think I'm going to do a small one down here. And there we go, nice little small window in there. The next one, and probably the final one on this side, is going to be one up there. I think right in here would be a good place to do it. And after adding an azalea, it's all done. So let's have a look at this one. I think that should look pretty nice. And yeah. There we go. And I have got something planned here, but we'll do that a bit later. Here's the next side done, and I added a couple of windows, but also a few bushes, which I want to start mixing in around here. In this little corner I have some more plants here, as I want to have a tiny little garden and some little growing beds for vegetables and stuff. So we'll get onto that a bit later. That's all I'm going to do for this side, as it's already pretty busy. So I might put a tiny window down here. There we go, I decided not to do a window as it's too close to the wall here, so instead I just put a few bushes around there. This side I'm just going to have a cute little single one there on its own. I think it looks pretty nice. But I am going to put a little window up there, I think. There we go. Up here I'm just going to quickly remove that. I did actually want to leave that lock in, so let's put that back. And now we can just do a bit of bridging out. Let's quickly go to the side here, then go up slightly. I'm going to do this with a mangrove log, as it's got a nice brown texture. So let's just bridge out a couple of blocks to around here. And then I'm going to put a button on the end. Soon. Actually we can do it now, so let's just make a quick button. There we go. We can put this right on the end. Also remove that block there. Let's just put this on the end. And then we can come down with some of these little bits of, I think, fences. So if we bring them down a bit, then we can have a hanging sign for this build. And down at the bottom here we can put a grindstone, and this attaches down to the bottom. So then we can just come like this with some more of our mangrove logs, then also some dark oak logs on the side. I've slightly changed the design of the sign, so now it uses some stone and also a banner which I quickly made with balloon. I think it looks pretty nice here. But now to finish this build off, I'm going to just add in some custom trees, which will make it look a bit nicer. Let's just go up, and I'm going to do some ones using andesite and oak leaves. These are also going to be pretty tall ones too, as you can see. There we go, we've got a nice custom tree here, and it's not the best, but then again, I've never made a tree in this style before, so I think it turned out relatively well. I think I'm going to build maybe 2 more of these. I think I'll have one over here probably, and then one over there. That should be good. And on how to build them, you basically just pillar up a load of blocks. And these ones, they're meant to be pretty tall, so they don't work as well when they're short. I think that's a good height. And then you come up a couple of blocks onto the trunk, and then you start adding leaves. This can be like 3, 2 or 4, I do. No more than that. And then you just start bundling the leaves on like this. And you want quite a wide base, as then it'll go narrower near the top. And there we go, we have some nice custom trees out the back here, which will start it to transition into fields, which is what I want to have out here. So you have a load of flat space. But with that, the outside is basically finished, and I'll leave the terrain decoration for a bit later. But we've still got an entire interior to do. So let's start decorating here. To start with, on the interior here, let's go up with some strips of dark oak wood, of course all stripped, as this will fill in the gaps between the stone at the bottom, and it's also the same as the ones on the top. So it'll make nice kind of wallpaper for the top level, and then it also finishes the gaps in here on the bottom level. And there we go. Now got these little pillars in, it's time to add in the roof, as at the moment it's just one big room, which just won't do. And for this we can start by quickly coming over to our moss farm, after we clear our inventory. My inventory is now emptied, so we can take a load of bone meal, and we've got plenty stocked up in these chests, which is really nice to see. Let's gather a load of it, and then we can go over to our tree farm. This is the last batch of bone meal, so now we can start using the farm. I've now used the tree farm for a little bit, so we have a load of logs, and I'm going to start by putting a row of logs, and then we can have a row of these slabs. Let's quickly fill that in, just like this, to make a nice roof pattern. It's now time to do the interior, so to start with I've added a few walls in here just to split the rooms up very slightly. So this room's going to be the main room with all the tables. We're going to have like a private dining area. Still need to do a bit of wall here I think, and then finish the wall there. And then in here will be like an entranceway, maybe like storage for coats and stuff. Might make some I don't know, loading room or something. I'm not quite sure. And then upstairs we still have a whole room which I'm going to use for bedrooms. To start with, I want to add in some tables. So let's do a quick twirl and then we can have a few. So let's do this. And there we go. We have a nice load of tables in here, and all of them are slightly different. And I think it looks pretty nice. So now it's still, of course, very early on. And I think this is where I'm going to have a bar area where bartenders go. Then of course all the tables. And now we really need a floor. So let's see if we can get a simple one in. And for that, let's do a simple zoom in at the floor. And there we go. We now have a completely new floor in here. Except for this room, which I apparently missed out. I think the design is now finished after I spent about 3 or 4 in Minecraft days building the top, which we'll explore last. But to start with, let's go look at the exterior. So for this I went for a relatively big build actually, as it's probably one of my bigger builds in this world, certainly in this village. And as you can see, the interior is actually pretty detailed, and of course I mean the exterior. And it's probably my more detailed build in the world, especially all of the detailing on the supports. And this banner I think is really nice. I'm definitely going to do something like that again. But anyway, let's head inside. So here's the starting bit. We have a little bit of a divider here. And then we have like the upstairs bit, which will go up later. We have this bit, which is like kind of like closed off, a bit more private. Then we have big table for some more people, little one. Here's where all the bartenders go, where you can get different drinks out of them. Little chest for just storage. Then we have a tiny fireplace here, not really meant for use. Then we have this here, and I couldn't figure out what to put in this room, so if you have any suggestions, go ahead and put them in the comments below. And then I'll make the best one in the next episode. And then, of course, here we have like this more like premium section, where it's closed off a bit and it's in its own separate room, kind of. Which is obviously why they're eating golden carrots here. Anyway, also I did decide to put my enchanted golden apple in there, which is quite cool. So we've no longer got an enchanted golden apple, but it's nice as a decoration, certainly a flex. But anyway, let's head upstairs, and here I've got a little staircase with some bookshelves underneath, which I think is quite nice. So up here we have a little landing, and we have a few bushes, stuff like that, open door, as I just adds a bit more life to the place. Then in here, little carpet, bed, plant pot. In this one, similar thing. Like, these are all pretty similar, just because, well, then they wouldn't be too different, really. So, here we have another room. This one has, like, a little desk or something. Not sure what that is. Let's see if that one opens. Then here's, like, a bigger room. It even has a window. And it has, like, this desk thing here. It has a barrel. This is, like, one of the more premium rooms. Like, this is where one of really high-paying customers would go. So that is the upstairs room, and that is it finished. So let me know what I should do with this, as it is quite a nice interior, and I'm not best at interiors, but would you like me to add a function to it? Put that in the comments as well. But anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye. Also remember to subscribe, that is extremely important.